Hollywood's biggest winners and losers. Hollywood Reporter came out with this article, and there's a lot of stuff here. They cover pretty much everything in regards to um, you know not just entertainment but politics as well, social commentary, all that good stuff. I think this is interesting. Let's get to it. Here's who won and lost in this year's entertainment. Who won? Zendaya and other former child stars.
Really? How so?
Okay, 4 stars who got their start on Disney Channel are on quite a hot streak. Zendaya with Doom Part 2, Sexy Challengers drama, managed to pull in 100 million globally, earned her 10 million. Her Euphoria is back, and she's getting ready for the next Dune. A year ago, would you have guessed Ariana Grande and Selena Gomez would be contenders for Oscar nominations? Both had solid uh, odds thanks to their stellar performances in Wicked and Emilia Perez, respectively. Meanwhile, the Lindsay Lohan comeback is looking real, with the actress starring in Netflix Christmas comedy Our Little Secret and upcoming Freaky Friday sequels. These former child stars and Zendaya, you think they're winning? Did they win in 2024?
Oh, paycheck wise, certainly. I think Zendaya's way overrated, but sure, she's got lots of jobs and lots of paychecks coming in, so sure. And Lindsay Lohan has, I mean, you want to talk about a comeback story? She's, yeah, I mean, I wish her the best because she was, I really liked her when I was younger, and it was just sad watching her descend. And so I hope that she seems a lot healthier now and seems to be looking like she's back on track.
She looks great now. I mean, plastic surgery is my very, very good friend.
I think Selena's a little overrated. As I spoke earlier, I love Zendaya. Wish her nothing but the best. And Lindsay Lohan. Anybody that goes through adversity and comes back. Her, Drew Barrymore.
I'm a new converted Zendaya fan. So there you go. Sue me. I like. I think Selena Gomez has promise, but she's. We'll see. We'll see. The verdict is still out. Okay, yeah, and I love Lindsay Lohan. Okay, let's move on. What's that, brother?
She crushed it in Euphoria. She carries
I,
that show.
I still haven't seen that show. Okay, who lost this year? Kevin Costner and Francis Ford Coppola.
Sure.
People really appreciate a filmmaker who pursues a challenging passion project and takes a personal gamble to deliver their vision to theaters, except, of course, when their projects are cruddy. Man, Coppola and his sold his wine company and bet more than 100 million to make a baffling film with a terrible title, Megalopolis, which only grossed $12 million globally. But at least Coppola only tried to make one movie. That's pretty funny. Costner likewise ditched his day job, which happened to be the biggest drama on TV, Yellowstone, and tried to make 4 movies, Horizon and American Saga, 2 of which might never get made after the first grossed only 31 million in theaters.
Kevin Costner having an overinflated ego about his own talent and abilities. I'm shocked. Yeah, no, he skunked a perfectly good potential swan song for his overall career by leaving Yellowstone when he did and how he did. He pulled a McLean Stevenson and left them in a lurch, and then they just kind of killed him off.
Wow, talk about obscure reference.
Yeah, I know, right? Deep cut there. But and Coppola, I mean, Coppola's like, if there's certain people in Hollywood, it's like you've earned your grand white elephant sort of, project or whatever. It's not going to erase anything that he's done before between Godfather and Apocalypse Now. He's lived off of that his entire life. So yeah, I mean, if he wants, I don't know why he sold his winery to do this, but okay. But yeah, it just proves that some directors, their time was past, and they really probably should have had somebody behind him as a memento mori, going like, hey, Francis, this probably isn't a good idea. Same thing with Ridley Scott. And a bunch of other of the classic directors. It's like there's a prime period where your talent was at its height, and you can't try to keep recapturing that and burning a bunch of money unless it's your money. If that's what you want to do, there you go. So yeah,
Horizon was horrible. It's a movie that thinks that you're gonna stick around for every little side plot because you're gonna want to watch all four of them, I guess, and it just
Mm.
doesn't catch you.
Hmm.
Megalopolis, I've been saying that if you can't handle me at my Megalopolis, then you don't deserve me at my Godfather 2. So I I'm giving Francis the views, and I'm watching Megalopolis.
What?
And I think he went for it. And I mean, Kevin Costner,
Wow.
he went all in on Waterworld, and he rebounded, has a great career, makes all his money back, and then he goes all in again on another huge project.
Mm. I feel the exact opposite. I saw Horizon twice in the theater. I took my parents. We loved it. I can't wait for the next one. It's one of my favorite films of the year, in my top 10. Haven't seen Megalopolis. Don't want to see Megalopolis. Don't want to give him that Godfather 2 buy. You know why? Because he also did Godfather 3, and fuck that movie. Lost. The Joe Biden Kamala Harris cheer squad.
Yeah.
It's not the fault of celebrities that Harris lost, though some think their endorsements might have backfired. But spending your fandom's goodwill to go hard for a candidate who then loses is always a bit embarrassing, and the list of celebs that went all in for Harris is long, particularly in the music industry, such as Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Eminem, Lizzo, Megan, Charlie. I don't know who that is. The most unfair post-election barbs have been directed at George Clooney, whose infamous New York Times essay about Biden's apparent cognitive struggles simply pointed out that he was what was painfully obvious to everybody who wasn't donor wrangler Jeffrey Katzenberg, who came across like he was propping up an inert Biden and waving the president's arms for checks, weekend at Bernie style. Runners up, late night hosts Kimmel, Oliver, and Colbert. Oof. Wow. This is from Hollywood Reporter?
Well, it's obvious, and those endorsements weren't endorsements; they were paid for. Everybody got a paycheck for this, whether it was Beyonce or Oprah or anybody else. They got a payoff. George Clooney was just acting as a proxy, as a public proxy for the Democratic establishment that knew that Biden was a skunk for winning, and they wanted to have some kind of cover for. Well, look, I mean, look at the public outcry from what George Clooney said. It's such. I could go on for hours about everything that I've read about and found out about the behind the scenes stuff on this, but yeah, the biggest losers. No, the Cheer Squad won, at least as far as they got a paycheck for the most part.
Oh my God.
The Late Show hosts,
But
they
you
won
know,
because they're pandering to their audiences with their boo-hoo-hooing and their cheering on in the first place. So I'm not quite sure how this is a lose, except for the embarrassment of backing an obvious failure.
I agree that they they now have to sit there and feel like they have the high moral high ground, and nothing came of it. And I
mm,
also agree that the DNC is one of the most corrupt organizations on the planet, and
mhm,
their just fall in line thought process backfired on them yet again, as they
mm,
misread their public and they tried to outflank a candidate on their own issues, and they fucked up royally across the board. So they deserve
Yep.
to eat crow as much as they did, and they have
mhm.
nobody to blame but themselves.
One, musical movies. It was a great year
Really?
for.
Joker 2?
It was a.
They bring up Joker 2 as a win?
Hold on, guys. Let me read it. Let me read. It was
Yeah, yeah,
great.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
a great year for song-filled movies, not about the Joker. There you go. Right.
Oh,
Wick-
okay.
Wicked, of course, but also One Love.
A carve
Oh, I
out.
liked One Love. That was a good little film. Moana 2 and even Mean Girls reboot didn't do too shabby, all of which bodes well for upcoming projects like the Bob Dylan biopic, Robbie Williams, Michael Jackson, and Wicked 2, and should grease the wheels for the many, many biopics in various stages of development and production, like Ridley Scott's Bee Gees biopic and based others based on Janis Joplin, Frank Sinatra, and Bruce Springsteen. And then just announced the Beatles, Paul Mescal is playing Paul McCartney. Like all genre trends, 2024's movie musical success is a sign of permanent audience interest, and fatigue will never set in.
Uh, it's musicals are a many splendored thing, I guess. I don't know. Wait. Mean Girls was a musical? I didn't see it, so I guess maybe it was. I
Hmm.
don't imagine that as a musical, but okay, I'll take their word for it. I haven't seen any of those movies, so there you go.
Yeah, look, I like musicals in person in the moment. You gotta feel just the right amount of gay to enjoy them. After that, it just you gotta let yourself go there.
Nice.
But
Nice.
musicals and movies don't translate well, in my opinion.
Mm.
I'll walk through it once. Now, if it's a movie like maybe like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, or other things
Yes.
like that, where
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
music involved with it, or like Baby Driver, then I'm all
Hmm.
in. But hey, we're anytime somebody says, "Hey, you know what?" and it's gonna be a musical, I'm out.
Amelia Perez, and it's gonna be a musical.
Yeah, like Joker 2 was the biggest like fu.
Oh,
Like, oh, you want a sequel, and it's gonna be a musical, and it's like, all right, yeah,
winners. Everybody won involved with the Penguin. I
True
mean,
enough.
I don't think I even need to read this. I mean, Colin Farrell and Kristen Milioti, Emmy worthy performances. They just got
Yeah.
nominated for. They're going to be nominated for everything.
Yeah.
Luis, do you see this film? This TV show?
yeah. I think it's the Sopranos Gotham edition, right? So
Mm,
I'm all in on that.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, a good friend of ours actually was a consulting producer on it, and we need to
Ooh.
get her on here. I remember a couple of years ago, Luis, when she says, "Hey, we wrote a Latino character in it. It's gonna make whoever plays that role a star." And I was like, "Really? For the Penguin?" It's like, "Yep." It's like, "All right, well let's see." And sure enough, great role, great role. Yeah, I'd say that for sure. Lost. Everybody involved with Joker Folladu.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I'm not going to read this paragraph. I think we're all in agreement here.
Yeah.
Runners up in the loser category: Madam Web, Craven the Hunter, Sony Spider-Man's Universe. Granted,
Yeah.
Craven doesn't open for a week, but box office tracking has the film opening up to only 17 million. I don't even think it's going to make that much. We're comfortable going out on a limb on this. Honorary mentions: Borderlands, the Eli Roth
Hmm.
sci-fi action comedy, cost at least 100 million. It cost $100 million to make.
Oh yeah.
What? And
Yep.
eventually grossed 33 million gold globally. The saddest part, at least people have heard of Madam Web. Who won? Aliens.
Okay.
At the box office, there was Alien Romulus resurrecting the Alien franchise and Quiet Place Day 1. Once again, proving the star power of Lupita. On the small screen, there was Hulu's No One Will Save You. Then there's all these alien movies coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yet the most riveting alien-inspired streaming content lately has been courtesy of Congress and the two bipartisan hearings, highlights from last year and this year, with former Pentagon officials and top military whistleblowers being questioned by the likes of AOC and Bobert. Okay.
Bobert.
I don't know how to say Bobart. I don't know how to say it. I just know she's got a. Anyways,
She's got a thing for Beetlejuice the musical.
The
she's got a
Haley
healthy
Queen.
she's got a healthy display of bipartisan unities.
Boobert.
She's kind of a dummy though, honestly. I
Yeah.
mean, listen, I don't want to get crazy here. It just seems kind of a. I don't like her that much. Anyways, Aliens won.
Sure.
Luis.
Not.
Mm,
There's just too much aliens. Honestly, I think that I've been sort of. I have a note that I want to go back and watch them all in the sequence that they're supposed to be.
mm,
Prometheus, I rewatched recently, and I sort of had a better
hmm
understanding and respect for it. I'm all open to more in the aliens universe. And in my film Alien Story, I had a lot of the names of the characters were based on characters from the Alien franchise. So I'm a fan of the original films.
The franchise lost me after Alien Resurrection, and
hmm
I saw Prometheus, I saw Covenant, but it just never it's never recaptured what those first three films really did for me. And so, yeah, maybe I'm just a old fogey or something, but I think it's been overblown and I think it's been run its course. If you want to get some really good alien stories, read the 90s runs of comic books under Dark Horse, because a lot of those things expanded the aliens universe in far more interesting ways than any of the movies have so far.
Lost, Apple TV, Apple Studios.
Sure.
On the film side, Argyle, Fly Me to the Moon, Wolves.
All mid.
On the TV side, did you even hear of the Big Door Prize, Kindred Spirits, Schmigadoon, Time
No.
Bandits, Make a
Time
Break,
Bandits, yes.
Constellation? All were canceled. And you didn't notice if one of these shows was real. Amazingly, it wasn't Schmigadoon. The thing is, we love the idea of the world's largest company throwing its pocket change to creatives to make lavish and literate content. We just wish those shows were a Schmigadoon better.
Dumping money on like, ooh, that's kind of a cool idea. Yeah, you might get something interesting out of it, but it's probably not going to pop or become, relevant. So yeah, all these Apple shows, like I've never heard of any of these things. So their marketing sucks, or well, part of the problem is that everything's so siloed now. By you have to have a subscription to this service to be able to see this show, that it doesn't have nearly as much of an audience as it might otherwise.
This is interesting, right? There's a surprising number of other AARP eligible actresses, in my eyes, the best performances of their career. I actually agree with this list. Demi Moore in The Substance,
Yes.
Pamela Anderson, I'm hearing great things about The Last Showgirl. Tilda Swinton in Almodovar's The Room Next Door, Amy Adams, Night Bitch, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, Chartreuse, June Squibb, Thelma. And from what several people tell me, that June Squibb as Thelma is amazing. Julianne Moore, and then finally Carla Sofia Gascon, which was the only thing I liked in that Amelia Perez movie. And yeah, they're all older actresses. That's pretty good. Okay, I like that. That's a good that is a victory for older women actresses, because that's always been once they hit a certain age, and then they're done. Lost, Star Wars.
Oh, years ago.
Another Star Wars film pushed, another Star Wars trilogy announced. Does anybody think these announcements are real and not a money laundering scheme? Another Star Wars. Nice, huh? Another Star Wars series that flopped. This one, 180 million, and generated massive controversy and fan division, some of which was super toxic. But also, how many times can Disney blame its audience for not liking what it makes? Ooh. The franchise's new kid show, Skeleton Crew, is getting good reviews for its first two episodes, so that's at least something. Part of the blowback against Lucasfilm boss Kathleen Kennedy is just people being jealous. Who doesn't want to be able to have projects repeatedly stumble and still keep one of Hollywood's top jobs? The rest of us can only dream of failing so successfully. Luis, you a Star Wars fan anymore?
I tuned out, much like the Marvel universe. Like I stopped anticipating oversaturation, just a couple of bad films and bad shows, and you just kind of like, over it.